according to the question raised by Honorable Senator Beatrice Ogora, I have this response for her. Honorable Speaker, I am that according to Section 107 of the Land Act, the National Land Commission is the one mandated to acquire land compulsorily on behalf of both the national government and the county governments. Therefore, the matters raised by the Honorable Senator in this question fall under the mandate of NLC. To this end, the Ministry referred the question to NLC via our letter referenced there, Honorable Speaker, dated 15th November of 2024. We have attached a copy to that as Annexure 1, and I have not received any response. I thought initially maybe for purposes of making progress, if I get a response, I would bring the response. I have not received the response. I would therefore like, Honorable Speaker, to request that the Senate do take up this matter because it's not my mandate, and it's important that I re-clarify, and I know Honorable Senators, Honorable House is aware of the mandate between the Ministry and NLC, that it is not, I do not hold the NLC accountable. I'm not, and I do not respond on their behalf. They are an independent commission, Honorable Speaker. They answer directly to the House, and there are ways of this House being able to bring them before the House so that they can deal with the, and they would be the people with the data, the agency with the data that is requested by the Honorable Senator. So I think it would it would be going outside my mandate to attempt to answer questions on my behalf in this regard. Because even today, you know, the acquisition, compulsory acquisition, is done by them. What ourselves we do is settlement issues, not compulsory acquisition for purposes of project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senator Beatrice Ogora.
Honorable Speaker, there was question B, C, and D.
I mean the entire question because you are asking, Honorable Speaker, the Senator is asking about compensation to the owners in question 2. In question 1, she's asking the list of the parcels. 2 is about compensation, and 3, it's about the projects, explain why in some instances projects were initiated before the affected landowners are compensated. And of course there is question 4. The point is, once the compulsory acquisition is made, it's normally requested by the relevant department or ministry, the entity procuring. And for purposes of procurement, that is done by the NLC. So any record of those details from your question 1 to 4 would be answered. It's really not my mandate. I don't have that information. I don't have. They only come to me for purposes of documentation in terms of maybe a transfer of the parcel to the next person. But if you ask me about compensation, what land was acquired, that information will be able to get from the NLC.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the answer by our minister. Minister, you are right that the National Land Commission is independent. However, you are expected to do what it takes to respond to our concerns. So, if for you to respond, it required that you come with information which is in the custody of the National Land Commission, you should do so. You cannot then refuse to answer the question and then ask us to do otherwise. What we have done is what we believe is the right thing. Could you tell us what difficulty you have in accessing the information that we wanted, which in your view is in the hands of the National Land Commission, and then transmitting to us, Minister?
Just take more.
Okay.
Yes, Senator Manzo.
Mr. Speaker, under the Constitution, this House invites a Cabinet Secretary to come and respond on matters, on all issues under your ministry. You are the Ministry of Lands, and the National Land Commission, although it is independent, she could have as well have invited the National Land Commission to accompany her here, or have you written to the National Land Commission. The National Land Commission then should have responded in one way or another. Is there a letter that they have responded to you now that you are the one the Constitution expects to appear here on behalf of the National Land Commission?
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Since the promulgation of the new constitution, Mr. Speaker, there has been tensions, and I'm aware of it, between the Ministry of Lands and the National Land Commission. In fact, previous ministers have had even an open fallout with the chairman of the National Land Commission and the ministry. What we wanted to know, as she tries to navigate through the questions that have been put to her, is to tell us what is the relationship between the National Land Commission now and the ministry. How do they operate? Because we are like a Senate, very uncomfortable to be told that the minister is not able to answer questions relating to lands, and the whole country knows that the buck stops with you. So what is the problem? And if they can't take directions, what do we need to do? Because we cannot have people operating without responsibility to the people who employed them. That's the country, Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I sincerely would like to reiterate and support what Honorable Mungatana said and what actually Madam Beatrice, Senator Beatrice is talking about. Madam CS, the problem we have, I'll give you an example. There are individuals in Uasin Gishu County who provided their land so that the expressway could be done on the southern part of Eldoret town. They gave out their land about 8 years ago, Mr. Speaker. This was a group of about 12 individuals. The road is there, it's being used, and what actually happened, Mr. Speaker, the national government somehow ended up paying, I think, 2 out of those 11 people. My suspicion is somebody must have given something small for that to happen. So, Mr. Speaker, the matter we are dealing with is, and we are persuading our leader, the CS Lands, because he's been in the National Assembly where we were. We want you, if possible, to give us an audit. How many pieces of land are controversial, that have had issues between the National Land Commission and owners, National Land Commission, I'm sure there's SGR, National Land with Kenya Railways, National Land with government departments, so that even when the NLC is not able here to come and give us the lists, surely they could have given you the list. Surely they would have told you which ones are controversial. Because the feeling we are having is you are moving away from your very critical responsibility. You are actually, the buck stops with you. And therefore for us, for you to tell us that the National Land Commission is the one which has not given you the numbers and the names and the figures, therefore have nothing to do with it. Madam C has given you a history of for being a performer. then it means we would have to start saying how you've been defeated to do your work and your job, which you are very highly qualified to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Honorable Speaker, with the great respect, I think the Senate is asking me to do the work of NLC, which I will not pretend, neither will I confirm that I'm able to do. The Commission is an established body under our Constitution. If you look at the questions that you are asking, when I come here, I should be in a position to take responsibility of the information that I bring to this plenary, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, if you ask me to provide all parcels that have been compulsorily acquired by government agencies since 2013, you are asking me to bring information that has been processed by an agency that is not under me. It has nothing to do with land, because if you look at my mandate, it's not about compulsory acquisition. I think that the Senate is in a position to summon NLC, even if not to the plenary. We have requested that it is not that I have any issue or unable to do my job, but I am honest in terms of saying this is not my mandate. This is not, they are not officers that are accountable to me. You know, if you look at my department, this is a fourth arm of government, Honorable Speaker, established with so I may ask them suffering from that as a barrier or as an issue. I really don't want to say that we have that. That is not any, it's not that I cannot get this information. That is not any, it's not that I cannot get this information. And I have said I have actually written. But even as I wrote, I knew that the right answer that I'll bring here, that this House can take on, is to request that this House gets the information from the constitutionally mandated body, who you can hold accountable, you can interrogate their list, you can interrogate the compensation. I don't handle their compensation at any time. And therefore, I think I will really beg to be released from that request, because it's not my responsibility.
No, Honorable.
I think the last one was by Onyonka. Am I defeated? I believe I have answered that. And I think all the questions relate to why am I not bringing this information. I think it is also to own. If I bring this information, Speaker, I should be able to own and take responsibility. And I wouldn't, because it is not work within my ministry.
Now, Honorable CS, you see, in our standing orders, it is only the CSs that are mandated to respond to questions
Yes, I'm aware.
by the Honorable Senators. Not a chairman of a parastatal, not a chairman of a commission. And everybody is answerable to Parliament, including the so-called independent commissions. Now, the challenge is the Senate cannot have the chairman of that commission take the podium that you've just taken for purposes of responding to these questions. And therefore, they have to respond to these questions through the parent ministry. Now, we do understand that the Commission, NLC, is not answerable to the ministry. But the question is not by the ministry. That question is by the Senate, by Parliament. So for them responding to that question does not in any way mean that they're answerable to the ministry. You are just a conveyor belt for purposes of giving us that information from NLC. So we had expected, because NLC is not the only independent commission. There are a number of them. And any questions directed to such commissions is always, the information is brought to the House by the parent ministry. So you need to let NLC know that by providing information to the Senate through you does not mean that they're answerable to the ministry. The ministry is only conveying that information to the Senate, because we cannot have the commission come to the Senate for purpose of responding to our questions. And therefore, you need to make them understand that the ministry, by seeking NLC to provide information, is not interfering with their mandate. Neither is the ministry saying you're answerable to us. Let them give you the information, and as you come to the Senate on matters relating to NLC, have them tag along so that they sit with you and provide any supplementary information that is required. They cannot hide behind that argument that we're independent and therefore we cannot give the minister information. Because if that were the case, how are we going to get the information if not through the ministry? And this government has 3 arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and parliament. Independent commissions cannot purport to be a 4th arm of government. They cannot. So they have to provide that information through you, and next time you're coming to respond to these questions, because we're going to defer this question. Next time you're coming for purposes of responding to these questions, NLC will have to come along with you. Of course, the committees can do their work as you have suggested. They can summon NLC, but for purposes of responding to questions, they have to know that we can only do that through the parent ministry and through the parent CS, that is you. So we're going to defer these questions and to a later time. We will now move to...
Honorable Speaker,
yes.
If you can indulge me, I did not say that they have declined to give me the information. And I did not say that they are hiding behind the independence. It's factual that they are an independent commission. And the reason that they were given that space is so that the executive does not overreach. During my vetting, Honorable Speaker, I was even accused of not having a good relationship with them, which is not true. I was also accused to want to take their mandate through some amendments we had proposed. What I am the one who is saying the Senate is giving me or requesting the information from the wrong person, and there is another route that the Senate can get the same information, and I am not directing how this work should be done. All I'm saying is that, let me finish, because you know you will not force me to give information. I would rather that the first priority is given to the owners of the information, Speaker. So
you cannot put a point of order again as a CS on the vote, unless you want clarification and intervention. Yes, Senator Sifuna.
Chair, I'm a bit surprised because CS is a former member of this House. She knows very well that once a ruling has been made by the chair, she cannot argue with the decision of the chair. And therefore, I know you said I cannot raise on a point of order, but she's totally out of order. You have made a decision that we, in this House, interact with the head of the ministry. Whatever arrangements she has with the National Land Commission on how to source information, that is none of our business. The person who will appear there to answer is the Cabinet Secretary responsible for matters of land. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Bonnie.
For the record, let it reflect that the Minister of Lands, who is my friend, is actually an advocate.